Welcome to the Bandano Podcast, where we're calling a spade a spade. Great to be here with you guys today. Project B has finally landed their first official star. Yes, they have. This is not their first signing, but this is the first signing with real star power. You had Nneka Ogwumike. You had Alyssa Thomas. You had Jonquel Jones. Who? You had Jewel Lloyd, Camila Cardoso, Janelle Saloon, Kelsey Mitchell, Lee Mang, and now you have Sophie.
Sophie Cunningham's decision wasn't about saving the world. It was about the ball and the colossal paycheck that came with it. While other stars recited carefully crafted PR statements, Sophie's move to Project B ripped the mask off the entire women's basketball landscape. This wasn't just another signing, it was a defiant middle finger to the status quo, an undeniable declaration that loyalty had a price, and Project B was finally willing to pay it. The silence from her former league was deafening, the implications immediate and brutal for those left behind in the arms race. This was about cold, hard cash and the freedom to just play the game she loved, free from political pressure. Her real reasons were about to shatter everything.
Unrivaled runs in the middle of that. If you are in Project B, there is no way, shape, or form you are taking part in Unrivaled. That's just how the schedule lines up. Unrivaled continues to lose miserably in the arms war. Unrivaled continues to lose miserably in the arms war. Sophie Cunningham, she was one of the more popular WNBA players before Caitlin Clark joined the league. She was one of the more popular WNBA players before she joined the Indiana Fever last season.
The official line was about growing the game, a platform much deserving, as Cunningham's initial announcement echoed familiar sentiments. Yet beneath the surface of these carefully worded statements, a different narrative was unfolding, one that spoke volumes about player agency and the economic realities faced by WNBA stars. Her public persona, consistently focused on pure basketball, stood in stark contrast to many of her peers, making her signing a lightning rod for broader discussions. This wasn't just a career move, it was a statement.
She sold out, followers rose to the roof, TikTok rose to the roof. This is the first domino from what I'm seeing that have people actually saying, wait, where can I watch this? Where could I watch this? Yeah, Kelsey Mitchell was cool. Yeah, she's cool. Camila Cardoso, yeah, that's cool. Well, this was the first domino that I'm seeing. People are like, wait, maybe I do want to check this out. Maybe I do want to see what this is all about. Let's take a look at some of the reactions before we get into the article.
Project B's timing, running from November to April, creates an unavoidable showdown with Unrivaled, another emerging league. The rule is clear: commit to Project B, and any involvement with Unrivaled is simply off the table. This direct scheduling conflict highlights Project B's aggressive strategy to corner the market on talent, forcing players to choose sides in a rapidly escalating battle for dominance. Unrivaled, already struggling to secure marquee names, now finds itself further outmaneuvered, proving that the arms war for basketball supremacy is far from over. Project B is not just competing, it's conquering.
And this, that, and the third. She wasn't one of these fake WNBA activists turned player turned activists turned player turned. No, she just wanted a ball. Sophie Cunningham just wants the ball. She wants to play basketball. Salute to Sophie Cunningham. I agree. Go get that money. Sophie never claimed she wants to save the world or painted herself to be better than all. So I'm not even mad about this. Get your money. Project B will challenge Unrivaled. The money is huge in Project B. To play 5v5, Unrivaled is 3v3 in a high school gym. 3v3 in a high school gym. Unrivaled is...
Before the meteoric rise of Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham was already a fan favorite, her popularity steadily building, but it was last season, donning the Indiana Fever jersey, that her star truly exploded. The infamous JC Sheldon headlock incident, a moment of raw, unbridled intensity, launched her into a new stratosphere of fame. Her jersey sales skyrocketed, social media followers surged, and TikTok blew up. This wasn't just a player, this was a phenomenon, a marketable face face that Project B knew could instantly capture global attention. Her signing was a strategic masterstroke, aiming for maximum impact.
Players are saying, I'd much rather play in Project B and make the millions than play in the WNBA, right? Not a lockout. I lost my train of thought. It only affects the WNBA if the contracts are exclusive. There we go. Finally got it out. It only affects the WNBA if the Project B contracts are exclusive. It's if it's written and set in stone. If you play Project B, if the WNBA is back up and running, you can't play in the WNBA. It's the only way it affects the WNBA realistically, because the seasons don't interfere with each other. They don't cross over with each other. You could still play in the WNBA, go get Project B, and go back into the WNBA. You'll be playing damn near 11 months straight.
For many, Cunningham's signing represented a crucial turning point, the first real domino to fall that made casual fans sit up and take notice. While other notable names like Kelsey Mitchell and Camila Cardoso were respectable additions, Sophie brought a different kind of buzz. People started asking, wait, where can I actually watch this league? This shift in public interest marked a significant victory for Project B, demonstrating that they finally had a player who could transcend niche basketball fandom and truly pique the curiosity of a wider, more mainstream audience, signaling a potential game changer.
Next fall with men's and women's 5-on-5 basketball. The women's players it has signed so far are big names getting big salaries that could shake up women's basketball across the globe. The league play in November to April schedule conflicts with unrivaled and European leagues, but not the WNBA. Project B is luring players with what front office reports reported annual salaries over $2 million. The WNBA Supermax last year paid under $300,000, and the league has still not offered players a max salary over $1 million in its ongoing and contentious labor negotiations. Well, not technically, but there are incentives via rev sharing that if the players hit, they will be getting over $1 million.
The fan reactions online were brutally honest, often highlighting the very aspect of Sophie's public image that made her so appealing to Project B and certain segments of the audience. She was also never one of these WNBA players trying to play activists and women's rights then playing in Saudi, one comment stated, praising her realistic approach. This sentiment, though controversial to some, underscored a significant differentiator. Sophie Cunningham just wanted to play basketball, unburdened by external political pressures or virtue signaling. This plain-spoken authenticity was her brand, and it resonated deeply with many.
These ladies go through when they're negotiating a new CBA deal. Again, people, these reporters and journalists leave out. I have not seen anybody report the clear conflict of interest that's going on within negotiations with the CBA, between the players and the owners, between Ogumike and the owners, between Fee and Bree and the owners. I have yet to see anybody point out the blatant conflict of interest. But they'll fluff this shit up though, right? They'll fluff it up. The league announced Mitchell on November 24th. She broke out in 2025, leading the Fever on a long playoff run despite an injury to Caitlin Clark. She finished 5th in MVP voting. Lloyd, blah, blah, blah. Jones, blah.
The podcast host himself echoed this sentiment, asserting that Sophie wasn't standing on her soapbox and screaming from the mountaintops about activism. He explicitly called out fake WNBA activists, making a clear distinction that Cunningham's appeal lay in her singular focus on the game itself. This narrative, whether fair or not, solidified the perception that Project B was offering an alternative for players who prioritize sport over socio-political stances. For Sophie, it meant pursuing her passion without the added weight of being a spokesperson for every cause, which was a huge draw.
Go play in Project B, go play in Unrivaled, and we'll tweak some things with the CBA, get a new gang of girls in here, courtesy of the college ranks, courtesy of the overseas, and we'll move forward with them. Interesting. But the question is, does this help them land Caitlin Clark Kent? Now, Yahoo put out an article in which they say that's the goal of it all. I'll pull it up real quick for you. And here we go. This was actually the first article I was going to use.
And then there was the money, the undeniable elephant in the room that truly explains why Sophie and others made the jump. Project B is reportedly luring players with annual salaries exceeding $2 million. Compare that to the WNBA's Supermax, which last year topped out under $300,000, and a league maximum still not cracking $1 million, even with elusive revenue sharing incentives. This isn't just a pay raise, it's a generational wealth-building opportunity. For a professional athlete, this financial disparity is impossible to ignore, making Project B an offer simply too good to refuse. Beyond the astronomical salaries, Project B is sweetening the deal even further by offering players equity in the new league. This move, increasingly common in burgeoning sports enterprises, transforms athletes from mere employees into vested stakeholders, aligning their long-term financial interests with the league's success. It's a strategic incentive that goes beyond a single contract, offering a piece of the pie as the league grows. This visionary approach is a powerful magnet, especially when contrasted with traditional league structures that rarely offer such direct ownership opportunities, giving players a true stake. The host provocatively noted that those activists over there at Unrivaled, they don't want Sophie Cunningham. This isn't just a casual observation, it suggests a fundamental ideological divide between the leagues. Sophie, by virtue of her just ball reputation, doesn't check the boxes desired by the rival organization, hinting at a specific brand of player and public image Unrivaled may be cultivating. It's a nasty work truth of the business, implying that player selection isn't solely based on skill, but also on alignment with a league's broader mission or perceived values. The potential impact on the WNBA is complex, only becoming truly problematic if Project B's contracts include exclusivity clauses, preventing players from participating in both leagues. Currently, the seasons don't directly overlap, meaning a player could theoretically compete in both Project B and the WNBA, albeit enduring and grueling 11-month schedule of non-stop basketball. However, the allure of Project B's financial packages could tempt players to prioritize their new league, particularly if the WNBA continues its contentious labor negotiations without significantly increasing player compensation. The choice becomes clear. The ongoing labor negotiations within the WNBA are a crucial backdrop to these player movements. While the current collective bargaining agreement CBA includes revenue-sharing incentives that could push player earnings over $1 million, the reality is these targets have yet to be met. The owner's stance is clear. Put some butts in the seats, get some people watching on TV, hit these merchandise numbers. Until those metrics are achieved, the $1 million salaries remain an elusive dream, forcing players to look elsewhere for immediate guaranteed financial security, a stark contrast to Project B's offers. Adding another layer of controversy to the WNBA's internal affairs is the blatant conflict of interest raised by the podcast host. He points out that Nneka Ogwumike, a perpetual MVP candidate and president of the WNBA Players Association, has also signed with Project. How, he questions, can a key figure in player-owner negotiations for the WNBA simultaneously commit to a rival league, especially one offering exponentially higher salaries and equity? This situation undoubtedly complicates future CBA talks, raising serious ethical questions about player representation and divided loyalties, a major unreported tension. The implications extend to the WNBA's roster management as well, especially concerning free agents. The league could theoretically respond to players flocking to Project B by simply saying, "Don't worry about re-signing." They could opt to bring in a new group of gals from college ranks or overseas, tweaking the CBA to accommodate them. This bold strategy suggests a potential power play, where the WNBA might choose to rebuild its talent pool rather than engage in an untenable bidding war with Project B, completely changing the face of the traditional league, a risky gambit. Project B isn't just looking to scoop up existing stars, it has its sights set on the biggest name in basketball, Caitlin Clark. Yahoo Sports reported that Cunningham's presence could be the key to unlocking a significant opportunity for Project B to add Clark to its roster. Clark's unparalleled domestic popularity would undoubtedly bolster the endeavor on an international stage, fulfilling Project B's ambition for global supremacy. Cunningham, a well-liked and visible star, could serve as a valuable ambassador, making the prospect of joining Project B even more appealing to the game's brightest young talent. The marketing opportunities for Project B extend far beyond the basketball court, with its November to April schedule overlapping with the F1 season that kicks off in March. The host speculates about potential cross-promotional events. Imagine Project B ladies at the Saudi Arabia F1 race, a marketing goldmine. This kind of global exposure, leveraging existing mega events, could introduce players like Sophie Cunningham to an entirely new international audience. Who's that at that F1 race? That's Sophie Cunningham. Oh, okay. This synergy promises unprecedented brand reach for the athletes involved. The contrast between Project B and Unrivaled is stark, extending beyond just player salaries. Unrivaled is characterized as a 3v3 league playing in a high school gym, a stark visual of its perceived inferiority. Project B, on the other hand, promises 5v5 basketball and grander ambitions, a more traditional and widely recognized format. This difference in scale and professional presentation further sways player choices, as athletes naturally gravitate towards leagues that offer not only better pay but also a more prestigious and globally recognized competitive environment, a clear step up. Sophie Cunningham's decision wasn't just about personal gain, it was a reflection of the evolving landscape of women's basketball. She represents a segment of players who simply want to focus on their craft, earn fair compensation, and enjoy global opportunities without the added layer of political expectation. Her move validates Project B's model: massive financial incentives, player equity, and a commitment to pure basketball spectacle. It's a calculated risk for the league, and for Sophie, it's a clear declaration of her priorities, showing that player loyalty is a commodity, not a given. Ultimately, Cunningham's jump to Project B highlights the deep chasm that has formed in professional women's basketball. On one side, established leagues grappling with legacy issues and limited resources. On the other, a new, well-funded entity, actively disrupting the status quo by showering players with unprecedented salaries and ownership stakes. This isn't just about competing for fans, it's about competing for the very talent that drives the sport. Sophie's choice signals that the future of women's basketball might not look like its past, and players are now dictating terms. Sophie Cunningham didn't just join Project B, she ignited a firestorm, exposing the uncomfortable truths about player compensation, conflicting loyalties, and the true cost of activism in professional sports. Her move was a calculated, unapologetic pursuit of financial security and pure basketball, sending a seismic shockwave through the entire women's basketball ecosystem. This wasn't just an explanation, it was the explanation, a brutal awakening for a league that thought it had all the cards. The game has changed forever, and Sophie just showed everyone exactly how.